The fantasy football entourage are winning.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to week 4 preview. I just tried, if you're looking at this and it's not live, I just tried doing a live and my mic wasn't on. So here I am again. For those watching me the first time, welcome. The second time, welcome back. Is my mic on? Oh, man. That was fun. I'm glad some of you guys, I saw the comments. I'm glad some of you are becoming good lip readers. Can hear you. Well, that's good. I was if you guys, have you guys ever done like live videos or just done any type of videos? You sometimes get in the flow. And I was in one of those flows. And now, but don't worry, guys, I could get back in flow. That's just how I do. Because, yeah. So let's get right into it. Now that I just wasted 20 minutes of my life, or 10 minutes, or whatever it was. All right, guys. So real quick, week 4 preview. Very important week. Okay. I know some of you guys have gotten off to a rocky start. If that's the case, make sure you watch my 0-3 video. If you need a roster evaluation, I'm offering them super cheap, $10, 10 minutes of my time. I review your roster. I'll be like, hey, start this guy, sit this guy, pick up that waiver, trade for this guy, trade away that guy. All that for $10. If you want the premium content, complete list of waiver gems and free agent finds, complete trade targets, buy, sell, holds, weekly rankings Thursday, and updated every Saturday once all the practice report, injury reports come in. And then I also have an exclusive Facebook group, and that you get questions answered all year long, exclusive lives, plus the premium content, all for $70. So it's 10, 20, 70. If you're interested, DM me. All right. At Fantasy Football Rapper. Well, guys, let's get into it again. All right. Beginning with Washington and Atlanta. And, there's so many players in this game that I like. Antonio Gibson, we saw what he could do. 73-yard touchdown catch. Atlanta, one of the worst against pass-catching backs. And I was saying 47 points seems kind of low to me. Washington's defense hasn't been what it's been. They have some players on offense like Antonio Gibson. Taylor Heinicke is better than people think. Terry McLaurin's in a blow-up spot, and Logan Thomas has been one of the most consistent tight ends so far, okay? On Atlanta's side of the ball, I feel like Calvin Ridley is due for a blow-up game. At home, the targets are there. Washington's susceptible to the deep ball, so I really like Calvin Ridley. Cordell Patterson has been about as consistent as you can be. Dare I say he is a must-start. I believe he's an RB1, so I definitely like Cordell Patterson to give you a safe floor. The way they use him in the offense, great job. I really like what Arthur Smith is doing. Atlanta, yeah, they're not the best, but the fact that they even have a win, that's more than what we could say with Robert Salah, Joe Judge, Urban Meyer, teams with similar talent, if not better than Atlanta, and they don't have any wins. So I like what Arthur Smith is doing. He's doing the most with the least. Kyle Pitts is also due for a breakout game any week, considering the amount of usage, snaps, and routes that he's running. So you could put Kyle Pitts in your lineup as well. So definitely like this game. Great game for fantasy. On the opposite end of the spectrum, this is a great game if you got Bills. Josh Allen obviously is going to get you 35 points minimum. Zach Moss is an interesting play here. I think Bills will be up a lot. They'll probably want to run it out. Zach Moss is the third down back, the goal line back, and has quite frankly looked better than Devin Singletary. And this guy, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, I'm digging him. 2 touchdowns guaranteed. Come on, who's going to guard him on the Houston Texans? What's his name? Hargrove, whatever his name is. Please, this is definitely a smash spot for Stephon Diggs. He'll be in some DFS lineups. Believe that. All right. And then Cole Beasley also deserves flex consideration as well. Like I said, Houston's secondary is terrible. Emmanuel Sanders, that is the perfect example of what I call chasing points. He had a big game, You use the waiver, you're excited, you put him in your lineup, and I bet you he clunks. He might do good. I'm not saying he can't do good because he's on a good offense and Josh Allen's a good quarterback. He's going to find the open guy, but I wouldn't count on it. So you probably have a better option, or maybe you don't if you're in the deeper leagues or you got a lot of injuries. But all I'm saying is Bills are going to be up a lot. This is not necessarily a good spot for Emmanuel Sanders. Okay? But everybody else, fire him up. Except Devin Singletary, I wouldn't trust him either. All right? Been telling you guys to sell him. Next up, shitty game, 2 shits teams, but surprisingly pretty good for fantasy. Okay? So did you know that Detroit has 2 top 12 backs? And this is kind of where I went talking a little bit. Everybody is pounding their chest about DeAndre Swift. Oh, I told you so. Blah, 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 blah. DeAndre Swift is a talent. He's a talented player. He's very capable pass catching back. Problem is, I'm going to address the elephant in the room since nobody wants to. A lot of fantasy analysts, they like being nice. They want to be liked, you know? And that's why you see, I don't care. I don't care about the fantasy community. I really don't. I care. Hold up. Let me change that. I care about the fantasy community. I don't care about the fantasy analyst community. So a lot of people don't like talking about injuries. It's like, oh, you're going to bank on an injury? Well, listen, is anybody surprised that DJ Shark got injured yesterday? Now, as a person, I'm sympathetic. I like Shark. I was a huge believer in his talent. But the fact of the matter is he gets injured every year. So does Debo. So does Will Fuller. So has DeAndre Swift. In college, last year, injured all offseason, been on the injury report this year. So you could pound your chest all you want, but buyer beware. That's all I'm going to say. You can hold on to DeAndre Swift, but you better have Jamal Williams. Because if not, I'd sell high. I would sell him for Chubb. I would sell him for Jonathan Taylor. I would sell him for Antonio Gibson. And you could get all those guys plus some for him right now because this set him in this high. Oh, and Dan Campbell just came out and said, we're going to use him more. That makes me even more scared. He is not that guy. He is not that 20-plus touchdown or 20-plus touch back. I promise you that. I promise you that. And again, it's not me wishing bad. I'm just observing. And that's what I do. I observe, I analyze, I predict. Based on prior history, which history tends to repeat itself, buyer beware. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Enjoy it while it lasts. If you want to keep him, cool, but just get Jamal Williams. My number one goal is for you guys to win. Even above myself. It's not to please other fantasy analysts and be liked in the community. I'm not. I'm not because I say shit like this. And that offends people. Are you banking on an injury? No. I'm just telling you, injury prone is injury prone. Just like Joe Mixon didn't finish the game last night. I was a huge Joe Mixon fan. I was a huge DJ Shark fan. But I know how to cut my losses. I do. That's all I'm saying. All right? But for this game, and as long as he's healthy, fire him up. Jamal Williams, fire him up. He's been really good, surprisingly, too. Pass catching back, gets his touches. I don't think they're going to I don't think it's all of a sudden going to be the DeAndre Swift show, even though Dan Campbell said that. Because Jamal Williams has played just too good. Anthony Lynn, former running backs coach, former Chargers head coach, is the one calling the shots. He likes to play 2 backs. And then Chicago's side of the ball, if not now, then when? You know, it's as simple as that. David Montgomery, if not now, then when? Allen Robinson, if not now, then when? And luckily, it's at home. And look, I don't necessarily think it's a blow-up game for either one because Chicago's that bad. Their offensive line is that bad. Their play caller, Matt Nagy's that bad. But it's good enough to provide you with a safe floor. It's good enough for Montgomery to at least get 60 rushing yards, punch in a touchdown. That's 12 points and get 1 or 2 catches. He has a very, very safe floor, 15 points. I don't know if I necessarily like him in DFS because I think his ceiling is tremendously capped in that offense, but he has a safe floor. So start Montgomery with confidence. I think Allen Robinson finally does his thing because, again, it's Detroit. So as bad as they've been, You could put him in your lineup, at least for this week, particularly that it's in Chicago. Panthers and Cowboys. I went over this a little bit. I mentioned how one of you guys asked me a question, about sitting DJ Moore, CeeDee Lamb, whatever. I think I maybe call it a hunch. Okay. But based on my experience, the ball's got to go somewhere. As great as Carolina's defense is, Brandon Cooks still did his thing, didn't he? Because you know what? Doesn't matter how good a defense is. If you get enough volume, like CeeDee Lamb's getting, I think this could be another 10-target game, you're going to score. You're going to get points. It's easy as that. Not to mention Carolina injured in the secondary, J.C. Horn out. We don't know how much C.J. Henderson is acclimated with the defense, and he wasn't very good in Jacksonville anyway. And again, Zeke, what's he going to do against that front seven? You starting him? Yeah, he's Zeke. Feel a little better at home. But his matchup is the hardest. Amari's is the second hardest. Probably see a lot of Dante Jackson. So again, the ball's got to go somewhere. You're just not going to just shut out Dallas at home. It's not going to happen. Dak, I think, has gotten to the level where he could at least give you a decent floor, even in a tough matchup. And again, the ball's got to go somewhere. So who has the best matchup? Who has the best talent? My man, CeeDee Lamb. Start him with confidence. The rest of the Dallas, you got to start Amari. You got to start your Cowboys. Even Dak, you got to start him. And at least he's at home. Same with Zeke. Is their ceiling capped? Absolutely. But you got to start him. CeeDee Lamb's, I think he could be in for a 20-plus point game. I do. Carolina, DJ Moore, obviously he's getting a ton of targets. Sam Darnold, not starting him. I think Sam Darnold did not look the same when CMC is out. By the way, Chuba Hubbard, don't get it twisted. He is not CMC, not in the least bit. I think Chuba Hubbard could be a decent RB2 based on volume. The talent's not there. It's not, especially as a receiver. He'll still get targets. He could catch the football, but he ain't going to be running routes or anything like that. Let's not get it twisted. Let's give CMC the respect he deserves. That Carolina offensive line is not that good. CMC is that good. So Chuba Hubbard, you're starting, but temper expectations. DJ Moore, you're starting. I would also temper expectation. I don't think he goes off this game. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game than what we're used to. And then Robbie Anderson's a dart. It's one of those situations too. It's like put up or shut up. I think he's got a good matchup. Dallas is a little susceptible to the the deep ball. But their defense has played a lot better. This guy, Micah Parsons, is a beast. You could line him up everywhere. Same thing with Diggs. But yeah, as far as must starts, only DJ Moore and Chuba Hubbard. Temper expectations for Darnold. And Robbie Anderson, more of a DFS play, but some of you guys, if you need a dart, I prefer Robbie Anderson than going with some no-name. You know what I'm saying? Browns and Vikings. This one should be exciting. This one should be awesome. I think this one's going to be a shootout. I think this one's going to come down to the wire. I think it's going to be a fun game, and I think it's going to be a Nick Chubb game. Hunt had his turn last week. Here's the thing about Chubb and Hunt. It's like people just like talking. Hunt is definitely a sell high for me. We've seen this already from Hunt. He started like this last year. And then what happened? Chubb got injured, and everybody thought Hunt was going to be Chubb and be a top 3 to 5 back. He was an RB2. Okay? So, and this is actually a game script for Hunt, but call it a hunch, just like CeeDee Lamb. I just think this is also game script for Chubb because I think the game will be close. I think there'll be a lot of scoring. I think he'll be punching in the end zone at least 1 or 2 times. And Minnesota's defense it's okay. It's good, but it's not great. And Chubb's great. So I really like Chubb this game. I like OBJ this game. You're not going to hear that often from me. But Landry's out. And again, lots of points. Minnesota secondary. He had a very nice target share last week. I want to say it was like 26, 30%, something like that. Again, who are they going to throw the ball to? So third year now, finally with the Browns. I think it's time. Him and Baker have some chemistry. So, yeah, I actually like OBJ as a wide receiver 3 with upside this game. Hunt is a flex with wide receiver 2 upside, which is what he'll be pretty much every week. And then, yeah, start your Vikings. I love Kirk Cousins at home this game, especially against a suspect Cleveland secondary. very good against the run. So Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, it looks like it's going to be Cook. I would temper expectations on him, even though he's Dalvin Cook. So, I mean, he could go off anytime. But again, Browns have been very good against the run, not so good in the secondary. So I absolutely love Jefferson, love Thielen. Conklin should be considered as a tight end streamer, based on this being, one of the higher scoring games on the slate. From one of the higher scoring games to one of the lower scoring games, two offenses that have been not good, to say the least. And I feel bad for the Giants because their defense has been good, man. They missed some plays against Atlanta, Logan Ryan, Adoree Jackson. They should have had these interceptions, turnovers, whatever. They faltered at the end. But, man, that's a lot of weight on your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it'll be a close game. Again, it'll be a defensive. Maybe you want to start Golladay this game. I mean, Shepard should be out. Slayton should be out. Ball's got to go somewhere, even though he's against Marshawn Lattimore. He's talented enough to overcome that matchup. Yes, he is. All right. Barkley is starting, but other than that, I want no piece of the Giants. There's no must starts on the Saints offense other than Kamara. Callaway is going to have a tough matchup. James Bradbury just finished mentioning the Giants' defense is pretty good, but you might need to start Callaway, and he has wide receiver 3 flex potential as well. It's not the worst start compared to the options that we all have. We're all going through it right now. You know what I'm saying? Very few teams are stacked like that. We're all feeling these injuries. It's happening to all of us. So Marquez Callaway will probably be in a lot of lineups this week, especially if you're a 12-team league. 10-team, maybe not so much, but 12-team, I predict you'll be in about 50-60% of the lineups. And maybe if he's not, it's because people are starting lesser players in a better matchup, which is not always the best idea either. But yeah, outside of Kamara, I don't really think there's a much start. And outside of Barkley, I guess Golladay is pretty close to a must start given the talent and the lack of pass catchers I expect the Giants to be missing. Another game, it's going to be the Derrick Henry show. It's going to be Derrick Henry and more Henry and more Henry. They have absolutely no pass catchers. If you want to get risky, maybe a little frisky, start Anthony Frisker. I mean, he's the only kind of starter they're going to have other than, Henry, because Julio's out, A.J. Brown's out. So, enter at your own risk. I'm not recommending it, but if you like to live dangerously, if there's ever a time to start Anthony Frisker, it might be this week against the Jets as he comes back from injury, I believe. From the Jets side of the ball, I actually like Corey Davis. Jets are at home. Titans have a horrible secondary. Corey Davis used to play for the Titans, said this week they didn't even offer him a contract. Now, how would you feel if your employer valued you so much they didn't even want to keep you after you had your best season ever? That doesn't feel too good. Instead, they went out and purchased Julio Jones, who is not playing this game. So I think Corey Davis is actually a pretty decent start considering some of the lineups that I've seen. So I would buy low on him. I'd flex him, wide receiver 3 with upside. Corey Davis is still a good player, and I like him more that he's at home. Okay, maybe Zach Wilson might have one of his better games as well because, again, Titans secondary bad at home. Crowder's coming back. I don't know, how much confidence I have starting him, but Corey Davis should be decent. Michael Carter, I don't know too much about that, but, how dangerously you want to live. But, yeah, Corey Davis, Derrick Henry, that's about it. Eagles. This one should be pretty exciting. I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Eagles pretty handily. Eagles, they started off pretty good. They beat Atlanta. They destroyed Atlanta on the road. They were feeling good. First half of the Niners, their offense was shit, but their defense was really good. And then their offense continued to be shit, and 49ers squeaked out a win. But this last game did not look good. I don't really like the way Nick Sirianni was calling the plays, and I don't feel like he was using Jalen Hurts like he should. Kind of like Jacksonville, the way they were using Trevor Lawrence, and now it looked like they switched things up this last game, but they still lost. But at least Trevor Lawrence was pretty good, right? So hopefully that could change. But from my experience, coaches rarely change. So this one has the chance to be a blowout. But the good thing about blowouts is they usually have a lot of fantasy points, even for the team getting blown out, right? So Jalen Hurts is still a pretty decent start. It's not going to be pretty by any means, but luckily the team blowing them out is, I think the Chiefs have the worst defense this year, running or against the run, against the pass. I think Miles Sanders will probably be more involved. Kenny Gainwell does have a little potential. Obviously, that's a little more risky given that he's only getting 30% of the snaps. Yeah, he's guaranteed his 8 touches or so. You know, I could see like 3 targets, maybe 4 or 5 carries. And he could do something with it because he has that ability to break up, but you're kind of counting on a big play or a touchdown with him. But Miles Sanders is a good play here. I can't really trust any of the Eagles receivers because this might ruffle some people the wrong way, but I see them as all equal. I don't think there's a big difference between Devontae Smith or Jalen Reagor and Quez Watkins. I think they're all pretty good. I think they will all be better in a better system with a better quarterback, but I don't see that much separation. And to me, they don't really have a true alpha wide receiver. One player I do like this game is Dallas Goedert. Considering the tight end climate, he's pretty much kind of a must start against the Chiefs. I just mentioned the defense is bad, very suspect against tight ends as well. So I actually do like Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts this game. Miles Sanders too. I just don't trust any of the Eagles receivers right now. And the Chiefs, just start the Chiefs. I mean, Travis Kelce's got the best matchup, but Travis Kelce. Tyreek, he's going up against Slay. He'll probably see a lot of Darius Slay, so maybe temper expectations, but Tyreek's good enough to overcome any tough matchup, and Mahomes is a good enough quarterback to, throw him open too. Cardinals and Rams. I think the Cardinals offense is going to have a tougher time than you guys think. I think this will be one of Kyler Murray's worst games, especially on the road. DeAndre Hopkins has to go against Jalen Ramsey. We'll see if Christian Kirk could keep it up, but it could be him. It could be Rondell Moore. It could be AJ Green. We just really don't know. It's kind of like Philadelphia situations, except Arizona's Cardinals receivers actually have upside. But I guess the way Kirk is playing, he's provided you with the safe floor. He's had upside games. So he's kind of like almost like a must flex too. But I don't know if I feel awesome about Chase Edmonds. I never liked him. I guess if you have him, you could flex him, whatever. He has RB2 upside. Connor got lucky with 2 touchdowns. Looks like he's going to be more the goal line back. So I just don't like that situation. I don't like Connor. I don't like Edmonds. Never liked either one. So that's that. I don't really feel good about any Cardinals. On the flip side, love Matt Stafford. To me is the MVP. Cooper Kupp, self-explanatory, number 1 wide receiver in fantasy. I don't see why that would change this week. Robert Woods, it could be a Robert Woods week. I've watched their games, and I know a lot of people are concerned about Woods. I've been telling people to buy him. He's not going to get any lower, and I'm one of those people. Like, I'm not ignorant to the fact, like, people like, well, if you like Cooper Kupp, you can't like Robert Woods. No, just like I like Chubb, and I like Hunt. I like Chubb more. But I don't have anything against Hunt. I think Hunt's a good player. I just think when people start comparing him to Chubb, that's when I take issue. But yeah, I think Robert Woods, he's still very involved in this offense. He's just not really that much of a red zone threat as Cooper Kupp, and just he's not Stafford's favorite receiver, but I think he could do good. He has a good matchup. It's going to be interesting to see the running back situation. So I think this is worth mentioning. So it looks like Darrell Henderson is going to play. I'm not necessarily opposed to flexing Sony Michel. Okay? Sony Michel, in my opinion, is the better back. He's looked better. he's a pass catcher, even though New England hasn't used him that way. And the fact remains, the Rams traded, I believe, a 4th rounder, possibly a 3rd rounder for Sony Michel, if I'm not mistaken. So Sean McVay doesn't have any type of like loyalty to Henderson. If you notice, he said it looks like Henderson's will be available. He didn't say Henderson's going to start. So I think Sony Michel could play more than what we saw originally before Henderson got hurt, where he had all the snaps. I think Sony Michel could end up being the leader of that backfield still, even if Henderson plays. I do. More of a risky start, obviously. But if you have Sony Michel, don't drop him. Don't sell him for cheap, because there's still a good possibility, very good possibility, that he's going to be the lead back in a potent offense. Top 15 potential if he is that guy, which, again, I said there's a very good chance he is, because even against Tampa Bay, and he hasn't been with the team that long, he got a lot of touches, both rushes, and they're very good at stopping the run, and targets as well. Okay. So enough on Sony Michel. So Sony Michel, I think Darrell Henderson is a riskier start, even if he plays, than Sony Michel. Now, if we hear something different, if Darrell Henderson starts, I mean, even then, I really temper expectations. Some of you guys might have to start him, but again, buyer beware. Cooper Kupp, though, Robert Woods, Matt Stafford, fire him up. Potentially Tyler Higbee, a little dicey, but again, tight ends outside of Kelsey, Waller, Hawk, Logan Thomas is getting there. It is what it is. Seahawks and San Fran, division rivals. This one's a little screwy too. Tyler Lockett looks like he'll play, but he's been battling some injuries. DK Metcalf reported today, just probably an hour or two ago, that he's been battling a foot issue. So that's concerning, but he didn't pop up on the practice report, so that's good. Looks like both will play. Obviously, you're starting both. You're starting Russ. Chris Carson, he's one of those guys I was fading. There was a couple guys I was fading that had big names that I got pushed back, and doesn't look quite terrible right now. I never liked Edmonds, never liked Darrell Henderson. They're not doing much. Swift is tearing it up, but I told you guys my reasoning for that. And then Chris Carson. They're slowly fading his touches, his involvement in the pass game. Travis Homer was quite involved. So was Alex Collins to a lesser extent. So Chris Carson got saved by 2 touchdowns last week, looking a little touchdown dependent, looking like a sell high. But if you got him, obviously you're starting him. But San Francisco hasn't allowed a 100-yard rusher in about 23 starts. So, again, temper expectations on him. San Francisco, either Debo or Ayuk is going off, period. I think this could be a very, very sneaky Ayuk game for several reasons. We don't know if George Kittle is going to play, and you're going to hear this name all season, Trey Flowers. Whoever is being covered by Trey Flowers, target that guy. And it looks, from what I've seen, I still got to watch more film because, see, didn't I tell you guys? I did tell you guys. I said, don't go by what people write. Don't go by stats. So I think Roto Baller said that Trey Flowers is covering Ayuk. And then Football Focus said Trey Flowers will be guarding Debo. So what do I got to do? I got to watch the tape. So the tape don't lie. So I can see what side Trey Flowers is usually on, what side Ayuk's on. And I have to watch so I know the truth, because you get conflicting reports. That goes to show somebody's lying. Somebody doesn't know what they're talking about. And that's why I don't go by matchup, go by points scored. But either way, they'll probably both see Trey Flowers. My gut says Ayuk's due. We'll see what happens. I think he, being the X receiver, is going to see more of Trey Flowers. But yeah, I think one of them is gonna blow up spot. Who knows what's going on with that backfield? Just stay away. They obviously want Elijah Mitchell to play. He'll start, but it's right now they're saying a pain tolerance thing, but he is highly questionable. If Trey Sermon starts, he didn't really do much against Green Bay, got away with a touchdown. That was a softball matchup. They obviously don't trust him. Week 1 inactive. This last week, even though he started, I think he had like 30-something% of the snaps. So temper expectations, tread lightly with Trey Sermon. Obviously, if George Kittle plays, you play him as well. Debo's been playing too good, so you're playing him. But Ayuk is the one here. I'm not calling him a must start, but I'm calling him a sneaky flex with upside. Ravens and Broncos. I think the Ravens are going to have a hard time in Denver. The altitude, one of the toughest places to play. I don't like Lamar this game. Of course, he's your quarterback. You got to start him. I get it. I don't like any Ravens this game. I was very disappointed the way they used Tyson Williams, and you don't run on Denver anyway. Marquise Brown, Patrick Surtain has been locked down, and just the overall Denver's defense, I think they're going to come in with a game plan. And I really don't like any Ravens. Again, Lamar, I guess he's a must start, but outside of that, I don't think any Ravens. And Mark Andrews, just because he's a tight end. If anything, Mark Andrews could have a good game because Denver's going to bring pressure. Lamar can buy time. But I think this is a good spot for Mark Andrews. I actually like him. You start him, and Mark Andrews must start every week, but I actually like him this game to avoid some of that pressure and that blitz. Denver, you start Sutton. Javonte Williams, interesting. Melvin Gordon, talk about injury prone. He popped up on the injury report with a rib and I believe an ankle or a foot or something. So we might be approaching Javonte Williams' season very soon, which you guys know I've been warning you about all year long. It's going to happen, guys. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So hopefully you guys have weathered the storm. You didn't pick him too early. Sometimes you guys get overly aggressive. He should have been a 5th-round pick. That was a good spot for him. And right now he's not really returning much value, but he's at least been okay. Hasn't blown up where he shouldn't have killed your team if you put him in your lineup. But if you drafted him in the end of the 4th, you got overzealous, then maybe you're in a little bit of trouble. But soon enough, you'll be reaping those rewards, and it might even come this weekend. Because he's that good. He can overcome a tough matchup. Remember, Baltimore has to fly all the way to Denver, and they haven't been the Baltimore defense that we've seen in the past. So Javonte, I would consider him right now flex. Sutton, I would consider wide receiver 3. Same thing with Patrick. Maybe the low wide receiver 3 flex. Patrick is a good player as well. Steelers and Packers. I can't believe the Packers are favored. I mean, I guess I could believe, but definitely taking the +7 on the Steelers. And let's see. Najee Harris, great play. Deontay Johnson, yes, you're playing him. If you're worried about Zaire Alexander, one of the players I worry less about when it comes to Zaire is Deontay Johnson because they move him around so much. They move Deontay Johnson all over the field, left, right, slot, end arounds. So you could start him with confidence. Looks like Chase Claypool popped up on the practice report. He is questionable now. I believe it's a hamstring. So Juju might get increased targets as well. So yeah, Juju could be a flex. Deontay Johnson's in that wide receiver 2 territory. Najee Harris, obviously 95% of snaps, 19 targets, whatever he had last game. Ridiculous. He has a chance to be the RB1 overall again this week. And then on the Packers side of the ball, Devontae Adams, temper expectations for Aaron Jones, but he's a good player. So what I say, big players do big things, right? And then MVS looks like he's going to be out. So Alan Lazard, more of a DFS play, but he could be a sneaky play as well. All right. Bucks and the Pats. Tom Brady, he'll get it done. I think it's going to be a close game. And then New England's just not going to have enough offense to keep up with Tampa, and then Brady's just going to pull away in the second half. I did say that. I think this could be a Jacoby Myers game, though, being that he is their lead receiver, and the Bucs are obviously going to put up points. Even if New England plays a good defensive game, and I think they will, I think it'll be close. It could be like 10-10 at halftime, and then, eventually the Bucs will pull away. Tom Brady's good for at least 2 or 3 touchdowns. Gronk doesn't look like he's playing this game. Godwin probably be the player. I think Antonio Brown. I think it's going to be a little payback for. Remember, he was on the Patriots for a quick 15 seconds. So I think he's a sneaky play this game. There's a little bit of a revenge factor there. So yeah, Bill tends to take. You know who I think is actually a sneaky play this game? I notice in games like this, where all the focus goes on the teams like superstars, like Tom Brady, there's always a sneaky player that comes through. You know who I think it is this week? Leonard Fournette. Let's face it. He's clearly their lead back, right? Gio is out. New England's weakness has been the run game. And Brady has a lot of pride, but Brady is smart and Bruce Arians is smart. The number one thing they're going to want to do is win this game. And I think what they'll do is they'll set up the passing game through the run game. And again, I have my coach's cap on. I don't try to predict I try to think of it like if I was the coach, if I was Bruce Arians, I knew everybody's all eyes on Brady. Everybody wants Brady to, throw for 5 touchdowns. What am I going to do? I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to run the football. New England, that's their weakness, especially against pass-catching backs. Fournette, it's debatable, but he's still the best pass catcher right now, especially with Gio out. I think this could be a sneaky Fournette game. But yeah, you start Evans, you start Godwin. I think Antonio Brown, like I said, revenge game. So I could see him getting a big play for one of those touchdowns that Brady's going to throw, especially with Gronk out. And just like Jacoby Myers, because, they got to do something. They're not going to run the Bucs. So Damian Harris, he's not a must start for me. He's actually probably a must sit for me. Not a must sit, but yeah, I don't like Damian Harris this game. But that's why I like Jacoby Myers. I think being the lead receiver, trying to keep up with the Bucs, he's, I bet on him over anybody else, and he's getting consistent targets as well. So I do like Jacoby Myers quite a bit this game, all things considered. So I hope that does a good job of summing everything up. I hope I've given you some value where you want to give me a like. I notice I haven't been getting the likes proportionate. So if you guys can, just do a like, do a comment, do a sub, I really appreciate it. And if you're interested in the premium content, again, it's $20. Waiver wire gems, trade targets, weekly rankings Thursday, updated version Saturday, whole season. Roster evaluations, only $10. DM me evaluation. You can spell that. No, I'm just kidding. $10. I looked at your team. I was like, hey, get this guy, drop that guy. I look at your waivers, tell you who to trade for, things like that. I think it's a really good value. And then the private Facebook group is $70. That includes the premium content right away. And you could get roster evaluations, ask whatever questions you want for the remaining of the year. So I think that's a really good value as well. All right, now the floor is yours. Let's see, 7:20. Probably only got 10 minutes. But I thought, man, you guys are funny. Wiggins and Isaac are legit. What are you guys talking about? Trade Godwin and receive Pollard and Michael Thomas? No. Do you have Zeke? Nope. I'm riding with Debo, so my team is doing great. Good luck. You, Tim Patrick, or Zach Moss? PPR. I would like. I like Zach Moss for sure. Between Patrick and Ayuk, you know what? Fuck it. I go Ayuk. Pick 2, DJ Moore, Chris Carson, or Cortland Sutton this week. Oh man, you got to start DJ Moore, and I guess Chris Carson. I don't know. You see, sometimes I got to see your whole roster. I feel like Yeah, I guess Carson. Love how the editor put Hunt instead of Chubb. I'm sure rappers saw he'd be disappointed. Yeah, I didn't. I'm very busy. And thanks for pointing that out because it's definitely going to be a Chubb game. Thoughts on Gibson and Cook questionable status? I think both will play. Pick one, PPR, Pittman, Jr., Juju, and Hollywood. I can pick up Patrick Renfro and Emmanuel Sanders. I kind of like Patrick, but Pittman's getting a ton of volume, so I'll go Pittman. Moss or Sutton? Oof. I think Moss is a little safer, actually. But yeah, I think Moss is a little safer against Houston, man. You should be able to punch one in. Thoughts on Damian Harris or Cordell Patterson register the season? Definitely Cordell Patterson. Should I pick up Carter? I mean, depends who you're dropping, but yeah, he's worth an ad. Would you take KJ Osborne and Allen Robinson for Moss? I already have Chubb, Gibson, Javonte, Jones Jr., and Game over running back. McLaurin, CD Boyd, Shark, and Hardman. Well, Shark and Hardman you could drop. I wouldn't take KJ Osborne. That's a waste of space. So it's basically, would you take Allen Robinson for Moss? I think I would. If you could get something else, then yeah. But KJ Osborne, he's waiver trash. So that's just a waste of space. Pick two, Davis, E. Sanders, Mike Davis, or Corey Davis. Jamal Williams and Corey Davis. Chuba to the CMC owner for Javonte Williams. Hell yeah. I traded Claypool for really one of my leagues. You're the man for that. Chuba, Ayuk, Rondell Moore, or Pittman. Which are the two best options? Definitely Chuba, and I would go with Pittman. Hurts, Stafford. Woods, A-Rob, E. Sanders, pick two. Woods, A-Rob. Cook, Gibson, Hubbard, Javonte Williams, pick two. Cook and Gibson. I mean, that's pretty easy. Have Vikings tight end, Hurts on the wire. No, just go with that. Bucks D, Denver, definitely. Denver kicker. Okay. Try to keep the questions to like one or two sentences. That was a lot of reading. Do I think JT is playing this week? Why wouldn't he play? Is there something I'm missing? All right, guys, I'm going to start wrapping this up. So any last questions? You could always ask in the comments. And that's kind of the hack, too. If you really want to get your questions asked, YouTube comments. All right, going once, going twice, 3 times. Love y'all. Peace.